Alright, today we're going to look at making this callout symbol, which we're planning on putting on our product box. You can see it's a star shape. I'm going to start using some language that we'll associate with the menu bars around here, and we'll also go through and explain some of the tools over here. What we're looking at here is a star shape, and we'll go through and see a star object. Let me go back. So it's an object. It's a star. Also behind there, the shadow is also an object, so there are two objects there. The text, the 100%, is an object, and these two pieces of text here are actually one. It's just centered above each other. That's one object as well. Also, there's an extra object here, which is the shadow behind the 100%. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 objects here, and then we've covered them and arranged them and done some techniques there. Okay, so let's go through it, and we'll click on Start. Start to create a new menu, new item. Now, if you have a look here, we have the Create Stars and Polygons. I'll click on that, and you can see as soon as I click on there, the top menu here has changed to allow us to work with this tool. If I click on the polygon menu, I'm working on a polygon, and the arrow allows you to move this shape around. Now, the arrows, if I've just clicked up the object, so the arrows have disappeared, one click on, and I get this series of arrows here, very similar to Word and many other documents. They're handles. We can squash that down. We can resize. So resizing on the corner lets you have full control over how you want to move that. Now, if you want to keep that in perspective, if you hold the Control key down on your keyboard on a Windows machine, Control lets you resize, keeping it all in proportion. As soon as I let it go, alright, doesn't matter what I do there, it's all out of proportion. Hold the Control key down, doesn't matter how I roll my mouse, it's going to stay in the right proportion. So Control to keep it in the right proportion, and without, there you go. Now, I'm going to go Edit and Undo Scale. Okay, so if I want to rotate this object or skew it, which means to warp it, if I click one more time, you'll see that the arrows have changed shape. So if I click on the top corner, that allows me to rotate my object now, and the middle arrows on either side let me skew. So skew means bend or twist. Okay, and up and down it's the same there. You can see it's skewing it. Alright, which gives it a bit of a perspective shift. Now, we actually don't want to work with this shape. We actually want to work with a star today. So I'm going to go Edit and Delete, or you could hit Delete on your keyboard. Go back to our Star and Polygon menu and click on the star. Now, this time is our lovely star. Now, this star doesn't look like the star that we're after. Hitting Control and resizing it to make sure it fits our page. Now, before we go on and we adjust this star, let's go to the magnifying glass. Now, the magnifying glass, you can see there's a little plus symbol in the middle of it, which means we're going to zoom in. We can change that to zoom out and make it smaller. You'll notice that the page is getting smaller. Okay, what that means is we're actually getting further away, or in this case we're getting closer in. The actual image doesn't change. If we click on the magnifying glass with the dotted square, that means we're going to, as it says there, zoom to fit. So whatever we've got selected, it will fill up the whole screen, like that. Okay, and there are other options here which you can have a fiddle with, but this one here is probably the most common one that you're going to use, which is zoom to fit the page in. Alright, but I'm quite happy for us to go back to filling up the whole screen with a star. Now, this star is great, but I want more points. So let's go back down here to our Star and Polygon menu, and you can see that it has 5 corners, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's increase that, and as you can see, the larger the number, the greater number of points. That'll do, but we're not going to fit a lot of text in here, so we need to make the center larger and the spikes or the corners smaller. So what we'll do is we'll click on the spoke ratio, and you can see that the inner part of the star is getting larger. Whoop. There you go, it's getting larger, and that's going to suit our purpose more. Randomize function just means it's not going to be quite a perfect star. So let's just have a quick look at that, even though we're not really working on that. But if I randomize it, whoop, If I hold it down for too long, of course, that's what you get. So you can see that as I go lower in my randomizing, yes, and let's see what happens. Let's go back to 0 again, and let's just take it a few steps at a time. So if you hold the arrow down, it's going to randomize very quickly like that. Okay, let's just try it. Maybe put it at 70.70, I should say. Okay, whoop. Let's go back to 0 again, I think. That's much better. You can have a fiddle with that. And with rounded, it's another nice effect where the corners actually round down. It's not quite as sharp. And if you keep fiddling with that, as someone said to me, it looks a bit like a splotch. I'm sure you can have some fun with that. And if you keep going too far, it really looks like something out of a Smiggles brand. Okay, so we've got lots of fun things there we can do. But for us, at the moment, we only need a star. So let's go back to here. You'll notice also our star has an outline. Well, that brings us on to colors. So let's come down into the bottom part of the panel, and you can see here that we have the fill and a stroke. The stroke is the outline color and the fill is the fill color. Now if I want to change, let's go back to our arrow, select our object. If I want to change our star to a red star, I click there. Okay, if I want to change it to pink, there, but yellow is going to suit our purpose for the moment. Let's just get rid of this stroke color for the moment. So if I click on stroke color, well, let's see. Well, okay, so let's go back. Sorry. Let's click on give it a yellow fill again. So you can do your basic fills from here, but when you want to get down to greater detail, you need to click on the color panel down here, and it brings up this pop-out control panel, which lets you have a lot more control over the colors for your object. Now the fill color, as you can see, is yellow, okay, and we are working on a flat color. We'll talk more about these options here in a moment, but let's go to the stroke paint color and get rid of it. At the moment it's a flat color and it's black, because we can see it says stroke down here, it's black. We click on the X, it gets rid of our stroke, and that's what we want. Okay, so I'm happy now. I've got my yellow star without any stroke or any outline color. I'm going to zoom out just a touch, so back down to my magnifying glass and click on minus, and there I'm out a little bit. Now I want to add a drop shadow. So what I'm going to do there is I want the same star duplicated, and I go up to edit and I hit the duplicate button, or if you're good with the keyboard, Control D will get you a duplicate. Now I've duplicated that. You can't see it yet because it duplicates right on top of the original shape that you've duplicated. Let's change the color to black, and it still doesn't look like anything's changed. But if we now use this arrow tool and move it off slightly, you can see that there is the duplicated copy. Now that's good, except we want the yellow on top and the black underneath. So what I'm going to do now is change this object and drop it underneath. I'm going to lower this object. So once again, I've started using the word object to give us a hint. We go up to the object part and we hit lower, and you can see there it is below. That's awesome, but it's a very sharp drop shadow. So let's do something with this drop shadow. Once again, we know we're on the black because we can see the fill color. If I click on the yellow one, it's changed to yellow. Back onto the black, and click down here to bring up my menu. So there's our color. What I'm going to do is slightly blur that black, and you can see as I blur it slightly that it's a more creative and more effective drop shadow. It's not quite as sharp. If you blur it too much, okay, you get that halo effect. So just a little blur. Okay, and I might even drop the opacity to make it a bit more transparent. Not quite. Great, and I'm very happy with that. So there is a yellow star with a drop shadow. Next I want to, so I'll close up this menu, the function window, and I'm going to go down to my text menu. Here it is. I'll click over here, and I'm just going to add 100% because I'm running out of time. Now I can you'll notice that when I've clicked on the text, I've got a text window up the top here. It allows me to change shape and my text type. It allows me to do my alignment and a whole lot of other functions over here. Now I could change the shape. I could highlight and change the size by clicking on here. Okay, up to 48, make it bigger. But what's better is if I click on my arrow and change this object by dragging it out. Now I'll go back into my text window to change the style of text because I want something a bit heavier, a bit bolder. I'll just wait for the there you go. I'm just having a bit of fun here with the other menu. Come back to here. So let's see if it works out. Okay, there we go. And I've got a lot of extra fonts that you won't find. That's not what I'm after. That's not very bold, is it? Let's go to Ravy, and I don't think you guys have got this one, but that's okay. So let's put Ravy into my star. It's a bit big, so let's just reduce it slightly. Put it back into the center. Okay, I'm going to make it red. But I want it to go from red to blue and have a nice gradient. A gradient means it sort of starts at one color and finishes at another. So let's click back on my stroke, come up to here, and this brings up to the next panel, which is the gradient, linear gradient. Alright, now you can see how it's faded to nothing, and that's what is the default here. Now if I click on this next icon over here, you'll see it's got a line with a square at the beginning and a circle at the end. If I click on that circle at the end and choose another color, I now have a gradient from red to blue. Alright, now I'm going to quickly do another drop shadow. Now you can move this line around a bit, bring it in closer, and you can see that the blue creeps further across or further out for less blue and more red. And you can do the same with the front, and if you want to change the front color, click on the front, change it to green, so now it's from green to blue. I'm very quickly going to duplicate this 100%, fill it with black, go up to my object path and lower it, and while it's selected I'm actually going to use my keyboard left right arrow, and there's my drop shadow. I'll blur it slightly. Whoop, too much in the other direction, there you go. A bit of a blur. There you go. And I'm quite happy with that now. Alright, so that's creating a star, call that a drop shadow, adding some text, adding a gradient color to that text, and another drop shadow there. So have a go at doing that one using Inkscape. It's an open source vector graphic drawing program. We'll be using that a lot, and this is the first of a series of looking at all these different tools over here. Alright, that's it. Go and give it a try. Bye.